How to be successful as a man. It's been a while, brothers. Pleasure to have you back on this channel. We're going to discuss this because I feel a lot of guys out there, especially younger guys and older guys to be honest, they're getting wrecked or they're getting conditioned to think success is one thing or another. So I want to discuss this and I want to see if you agree with me. It'd be interesting to know. Because I would say I understood this at a young age. I understood that the traditional 9 to 5, even if it was paying me 10 grand, 20 grand a month, I knew that would be nice to invest in myself and actually get working on my own income, but I knew that still wasn't success as a man. But I think a lot of people need to wake up to this and slowly, as we go with like the world it is today with the C19, what we had in 2020, I've actually got an example of that. I think the world is starting to realize that, it doesn't matter how much you're earning in a traditional job. Even if you're the big man at the top, if you're still pulling up to the office, it's not successful. But I want to break it down. So here's the average minimum wage, which I thought was interesting. I don't know how people even my age, 20s, are surviving on this shit because shit's becoming so expensive. Like, I was looking at this. I buy steaks every day, just a random example here. Like, this doesn't even cover steaks, for an hourly wage, and let alone all the other stuff you're buying, your rent, your cars, and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think people need to start waking up to this, but obviously that's minimum wage, so let's talk about the corporate ladder. You work up that ladder, and this is probably what people define as most people, doing well, but guess what? You get to wear a nice little suit, you get to pull up, and you get to make 150k to 150k per year. That's 10k a month. That would be classed as traditional success, and that was successful back in 2010. But the internet came along, and there's people like me. I'm going to break down my examples and show you real life use cases of, in my opinion, I don't think this is successful at all. But that's what society tells you. Hey, you're doing well. Stay in your little box with your little wife and your little dog. Drive your little BMW, and yeah, you'll be successful, right? But I would argue that is not successful at all. So here's the harsh truth. And maybe you've experienced this yourself if you have escaped the matrix. I hate using that word, but that's what people like to do these days. And you're starting to wake up to, the harsh reality of, hey, this isn't the life that you were promised. This isn't, hey, you went to school, you wasted all this time, but life is still shit and you're depressed and you've got anxiety. So outside of that company, this little office, right, you're nobody. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck if you're making 300k a month. Nobody cares. That tiny little office building, that's where you have the authority. That's where you've seen as successful. But outside, you're nothing. And that's the traditional, from what I can imagine, when I was working in a 9 to 5, that's kind of what an office looks like. And even if you're the big boy at the top, here's your BMW. Good job, brother. There's 18, 19-year-olds pushing better cars than you. That's the harsh reality. You've worked your whole life, you're fat, you're miserable, your wife hates you, she gives you one blowjob a month. You got a cute little 19-year-old pushing an i8. This is what she wants. She's on Instagram. She's on Dubai boats. Who's successful? You're getting beat by a 19-year-old brother. And you're a man. So this is the problem with this old traditional way. It doesn't matter how successful you are, you're trapped in that job. You have to pull up to that office. You have the good car. I would argue a BMW is a piece of shit, right? It's not a car, bro. And that's seen as successful in that little job. There you are. You're doing well. But outside the world, you're an absolute nobody. And let's break it down even more. So what do you actually need to be a successful man? There's a couple of stuff. I think there's 4 points I've got. Number one is freedom. You ain't a man if you ain't free. So again, if you're stuck in this job, it doesn't matter. You couldn't pay me, genuinely, you couldn't pay me 200 grand a month, genuinely, to work in that office, 9 to 5. You could not pay me. It would not be happening. Now at the start when I was on the come up, 19, 20, 21, 22, sure, pay me that. Pay me that. I'll pull up and I'll make the back end work at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'll work in my side gig, right? But right now, for the money I'm making, I'm not making 200k a month. I'll show you exactly how much I'm making on my other YouTube channel, like I always do. But you couldn't pay me right now 200 grand. You couldn't pay me more than what I was making to work in that office. Accept it when you're younger, but if you're still in this mentality and you've been here for 4 or 5 years and you haven't figured out, this number one, which is freedom, because you're not free in this box. You're just a little rat in a little office. Even if, like I said, that job paid you 500k a year, you aren't free. You're turning up at 9 and clocking out at 5. And a lot of people get this wildly wrong. You actually commit to a 7 a.m. wake-up time, get in the shower, you're probably got a 45 minutes to 30 minutes commute, and then 5 p.m. you're not really finished. You have to go home, you may be on the subway, you may be in traffic, By the time you get clothes off and dressed, it's honestly turns into a 7 till 7. So these are 12-hour days you're doing, and you're not paid for these 4 hours. And on the time that you are paid, it's very, very minimum. And you're trapped. So generally back in the day, I want you to think about this. You would work as a slave. This is a extreme example, boys, but you would be a slave, right? And in return, sometimes, you would get free food and shelter. You would work for free and get free food and shelter. Now, what they give you is they give you dollars, pieces of paper. Think about this. They give you pieces of paper, and in return, you go and work in 9 to 5, and that pieces of paper, it buys you food and shelter. And basically, you've got nothing left, right? So it's the same. Nothing's really changed if you actually think about it. Yes, these times, I'm sure, we're a lot more brutal, right? We get to sit in better houses and all that kind of stuff. We're not actually slaves, but I would argue we kind of are slaves, right? Because there's nothing left. You go to work, you spend it on food, you spend it on shelter. And if you don't understand that, and you're not thinking, hey, I need to break out, because like I said, I understood this at a young age. I was like, okay, let's use the income from this job as much as possible, but let's work on something where I can control the income and be the man, right? And if you're still on the fence here and you're still saying, Jake, that's a silly example, you're in that job right now, I guarantee it, because you're not on my side of the scale if you're not understanding the spectrum. So here is why you should always be working towards free time and going where you want. So remember the C19 lies and bullshit that was going on? I went to Greece. We trained George. He was in ecom, still is in ecom, still stores. And I was doing ecom quite heavily. Here's screenshots. You can go back and check this on my old dropshipping channel. You can see it right here. Go and find the dates. Receipts are always going to be here, brothers. Making 61k GBP in 14 days, this little screenshot. About 20 to 25 grand profit in a fortnight. Pure freedom. Training outside with my brother, going hard as fuck. Yes, there was not much open in Greece. We weren't pulling girls or whatever. Didn't really care about that. Just having a great time, traveling Greece. I think I went to Spain after this, making money from my phone. And I'm not here to sell you a course, by the way. I'm just telling you exactly what I was doing. There's no courses here. Do not worry about that, bro. We're not here to do that. But here's the difference, right? And even though I am making more than that traditional wagey, we're making 100 grand a month in revenue, more than that, with about 25 to 30k take profit home. It doesn't really matter about that, because even if this was just 10 grand profit or 5 grand profit, that is better, brother, than this shit. Not the girl. But that is better than this shit, brother. That is way better than this shit. So that, when everybody was stuck in their job and complaining, not me, not him, not my other buddies, none of us were complaining. It was fantastic. We were taking advantage of this. We were making money, right? So this is just a different side to the spectrum. So I would argue, hey, even if you're making less money, 5 grand, 10 grand a month, and you've got freedom, you can scale that. But even if you just want to stay at 5 grand, 10 grand, but you have ultimate freedom and you want to bounce around, it's more than enough to do what you want, brother. It's more than enough to do what you want. I would argue you obviously push forward that. We'll talk about my income as well, how it's went drastically up. But you could quite happily just stay there, and I'm living proof. Here, go and watch it. There's receipts all over my old channel. It's right there for you, brother. Now, choose your network. You're going to need a good network. And again, in this rat race, you're not building a good network in your job, right? These are people that just want to go out, fuck 3 to 4s if they can, and then drink pints on the weekend. You're not building anything of value, brother. I'm telling you right now, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I choose this side every time. I got rid of that side as fast as possible. So I'm working on this a lot more now, and that's really my main goal is number 2, right? I'm going to show you 3 more or 2 more, but number 2 is what I'm working on, network. I think it's your network really is your net worth. So I've got a few good contacts. I've got a lot of good contacts in my phone, and I can call them and be like, let's do a deal. We need to allocate money here. We've got that kind of level going on now, and that's fantastic. For example, I'm in a big men's kind of group, a paid group. It costs 4 grand, quite expensive, right? But I wanted to network, expand my horizon. For example, these guys are in Thailand. When I go there's a bunch of lads all in the same mindset. We can just crash at this place. Again, you should have your own space, but you got a space there, let's go. You want to go and train, let's go. You've got a group of guys are all in the same mindset. We're all actively making money online. These guys are younger than me, by the way, some of them, and they're making more money than me. So I'm actively wanting to hang around with these people, and that's what I encourage you to do. There's no BS, there's no negativity, there's no females, and there's no negative females in our circle at all. If there is, they need to go. There's no pint drinking, there's no out of shape losers. We're all in shape, we're all making more than 30k a month online. We're all dominating the world, and we're all in shape, and we just want to keep going better, 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 better. And like I said, these guys are younger than me. They're younger than me, bro. So if that doesn't motivate you, get the F up. And I've built my own network. I'll show you that in a second. And And if I need something, I just go to them. I don't go to my mum, I don't go to my dad, I don't go to my girl, I don't go to anybody else bar these two networks. If I need something, I go to them. I don't go to anybody else because they don't have any value. Number 3, you need a dominating body / physical presence language. And this is the easiest to get, but it's the hardest to maintain. For example, like a fat billionaire, you can't buy this. You can't physically go and buy this. Sure, you can buy the best trainer, you can buy the best foods, you can buy the best steroids if you want, you can buy the best everything, but you have to get to work. It's not just magically going to happen, right? You can buy implants, you can buy pec implants, ab implants, but it's not the same. To get low body fat and be big and dangerous, it actually takes work. You can't buy that. So no one's going to respect a fat millionaire. Being in shape is a non-negotiable, and it's free. You can get this at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, right? To get rich or to make money online when you're that young, that's harder to do, but you can always get in shape. And that was the first thing I got control. I was always in shape. I've never not been out of shape past 16. I've always been big, I would say, and dangerous. 17, 18. Back in this photo, I think I was 22, right? And I was actually a lot bigger back then. I was on a cycle of steroids, right? But regardless, I've always been big and masculine. You don't have to go down that route. And I would say this is achievable, 100% natural, right? And again, you don't have to be that big. But regardless, you should always be in shape. There's no excuses. If you're fat and out of shape, you're just not going to get in respect. And I'm not going to respect any of you as a man, even if you've got more money than me. I do not care, because if you're out of shape, it just shows that you're lazy and you can't control anything because you're putting too much food in your mouth and you just need constant dopamine with food. So number 4 is females. This is an absolute must in my opinion. They're the ultimate status symbols. You can't buy the good ones. All the females I've got, especially my girlfriend, you can't buy her. You can't just get her, right? She's absolutely head over heels for me, and you just need this. You can't buy the body. You can't buy good, genuine women, and that will do anything you want. That you can't buy that. You can buy escorts. You can buy whatever you want to call them in your side of the world, but at the end of the day, they're just there for your money, and you probably don't feel good after that, right? So that's not what you want. You could be in the club, and the richest man there, a billionaire, but the richest man is the man who has the hottest girl in there, and the girl that just respects him all the time. That gets you status. So you absolutely need this, whether you like it or not. And if you are on the fence, you're probably just a hater, and you can't get any females anyways, right? So again, don't hate me. Don't hate me. Go and work on yourself. Hate yourself because you've not put in any work. On paper, in this scenario, you're the richest man, right? So you're the richest man if you're the billionaire. Technically, on paper, your bank account, pull up your apps, right? But nobody gives a fuck in that scenario. Nobody cares, especially if you're out of shape. Now, I understood this at a young age. So what did I do? Well, I found guys in a position and bought my way. So I bought their courses. I bought ecom courses to learn how to do this crap. I bought YouTube courses. That's what I'm working on right now. And then I bought, obviously, the network I'm in. So here's the comparison, and this is not to boast. This is to show you that I've always got the receipts, brother. I'm not going to show you something and actually not show you stuff. This is what I've done. This is what I've built, and I'm quite proud of it, and I'm just getting started. So you've got the manager, let's just say. He makes about 5k a month, even 10k a month in his little suit with his ugly wife, and he has a beer belly. Or you've got me, travels the world, and last month on this YouTube channel, including nothing else, just this YouTube channel, made $32,000. If you don't believe me, you've got a small belly. Here's some receipts of some sponsorships we did. There's 4.5k. This is pretty much all in 2 weeks. There's another 4k. These are pretty much from sponsorships. I can't disclose who they are, but sponsorships. Obviously, there's ad revenue on this channel as well, but there's about 9k. There's a couple more. I didn't want to put them in because it's too big for the screen. Ad revenue is doing about 3 to 4k. We've got a private group of men. They're all paying a minimum of $99. Now they're on $149 past 50. So again, I'm always going to show you the receipts. I've got a hot girlfriend that does absolutely everything I want for her, and obviously I treat her good as well. There's her with her little new handbag, looking all good. And I'm not going to show you the other girls because it's nothing to do with you, bro. And here's one of our first meets we had. So here's the big kind of table you can see here. So we're networking all the time. Here's a couple of photos we got. So I would argue, who wins, bro? Who wins? Here's the competition. There's more to life than this. So the other side of the spectrum is you're seen as successful, and this is why this is not successful. There's your wife. There's you. You're fat. You're out of shape. You're always depressed. You're always arguing. There's your cute BMW. Good job, brother. Well done. Here's your day. Here's your 95. Don't know if you guys have ever seen Benidorm. It's kind of funny bringing this up, but there's nothing wrong with Benidorm. I'm sure Benidorm's a great time. I think I've been actually a couple of times. We went through it, but there's a different experience between, hey, no respect to these actors, but fat, they're always arguing. You got the annoying granny, you got the kids running about. It's not the kind of life I want to live, and that's their 2 weeks of joy of the whole year. They maybe get a couple a year, and that's them. They're done. They're back in this shitty wage job. They're back home to arguing. But guess what? They get to bring a nice little suit, a nice car, and a nice little cute pair of shoes that they decline. But, here's the other side, boys, and I'm only getting started. This is a way better life to live. And like I said, this is just the beginning. So you get to decide. If you don't like this kind of video, you're probably a hater. You need to go and work on yourself, because I promise you, once you actually figure this other stuff out, there's a lot more fun to be had in life than sitting in this little box, being a slave, and having 19-year-old girls have better car than you, and they've never picked up any job in their life. So get to work, brothers. Use this as motivation. It doesn't take long to achieve something like this. You don't have to do YouTube. Just get to work on something. If you have to use your job right now, but just have the mindset of, hey, you're not going to be here long, and get to effing work. That's all I got. Take care.